Welcome everyone to part 132 of our masterclass. Before we begin, if you are enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. Well, today, we've got an absolutely critical explainer lined up for you. We're going to be diving deep to master code assignment errors and defend your revenue cycle against those dreaded ungroupable DRGs.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a quick recap, then jump straight into how grouper failures actually work. After that, we'll unpack some high-volume error scenarios, walk through our CDI clearance protocols, and wrap it all up with a summary.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, let's do a really quick recap to set the stage. So, you might remember in Part 131, we just mastered the grouping mechanics for unrelated OR procedures. Those are MS-DRGs 981 to 989. But today we're pivoting to a massive, and I mean massive, compliance and revenue threat. We're looking at exactly what happens when the CMS grouper completely fails to assign a valid DRG, which forces your claims right into MS-DRG 998 or 999.
Moving right along to Section 2, let's get a high-level overview of these ungroupable DRGs and figure out why these failures even happen in the first place.
Basically, a group of failure occurs when an error in your code selection, your sequencing, or your demographic logic forces a claim into one of two absolute black holes. First, you've got MS-DRG 998. This one simply means your principal diagnosis is invalid as a discharge diagnosis. Then there's MS-DRG 999, which is just entirely ungroupable. The system literally doesn't know what to do with it.
And here's why this matters so much. The financial hemorrhage these errors cause is staggering. When a claim hits 988 or 989, it gets a zero relative weight assignment. That means absolutely zero payment, nothing. It triggers immediate billing scrubber rejections, and it's going to rapidly swell your DNFB, your discharge, not final billed accounts. So you're looking at massive unbilled backlogs and some really severe compliance risks.
Now, these catastrophic failures don't just happen out of nowhere, right? They are triggered by very specific data errors. We're talking about things like using retired codes, missing mandatory characters, demographic mismatches like an age or sex conflict with a specific diagnosis, or violating secondary-only sequencing rules.
All right, Section 3. Let's get into the weeds and dissect some of these high-volume error scenarios so you know exactly what to look out for.
If we compare these two DRGs head-to-head, the difference is pretty clear. MS-DRG 998 happens when a code is structurally totally fine, but it's absolutely forbidden from being in the principal diagnosis position based on official coding guidelines. MS-DRG 999, on the other hand, that means the data combination itself is fundamentally flawed or incomplete.
So for MS-DRG 998, placing restricted codes in that principal spot just instantly breaks the claim. For example, manifestation codes, external cause codes, or social determinant Z codes like Z55 through Z65, they simply cannot be your principal diagnosis. Also, if you try to sequence a sequela or a late effect code without its proper primary etiology code, you are going straight to 998. No exceptions.
A really huge trap to watch for here is the code first rule in your ICD-10-CM conventions. Failing to sequence the underlying etiology before the manifestation is a guaranteed way to trigger a 998 assignment. The rule strictly dictates that the systemic disease has to be coded before the specific organ failure or manifestation. You flip those around, the grouper rejects it immediately.
Shifting over to MS-DRG 999, we start seeing failures stemming from, well, glaring clinical impossibilities. Demographic mismatches are a huge trigger here. Think about coding prostate disease for a female patient or an obstetric condition for a male, or giving a pediatric congenital code to an 85-year-old. The grouper catches that instantly. The other major trigger is incomplete code structures, especially leaving off that crucial seventh character.
You see, ICD-10-CM codes demand precise character lengths. That seventh character is absolutely vital because it identifies the encounter type, like A for initial encounter, D for subsequent, or S for sequela. If you're missing a seventh character for something like fracture, encounter type, or laterality, it instantly makes the whole claim ungroupable. Boom, right into MS-DRG 999.
And it's the exact same story for inpatient procedures. All 7 characters in ICD-10 PCS have to be specified. Every single position, from the section all the way down to the qualifier, has a specific meaning. If a procedure just doesn't require a specific detail for that 7th character, you still have to use the letter Z to indicate none. If you just leave it blank, the grouper won't even try. It'll reject it outright.
Okay, Section 4. We know what the problems are, so how do we defend against them? Let's talk about our CDI clearance protocols and actionable workflows.
To truly protect your revenue cycle, you've got to build incredibly robust front-end clearinghouse scrub rules. You want your internal systems intercepting these invalid code combinations, missing POA flags, and demographic mismatches way before they ever leave your building and reach the payer. Prevention is absolutely key here.
But when an account inevitably does get stuck in your DNFB backlog, you need a strict, step-by-step resolution pathway. This linear workflow guarantees rapid root cause resolution. It goes like this. The scrubber flags the error. It escalates immediately to your CDI or HIM team. A physician query is raised to clarify the documentation. And finally, the code gets corrected so you can actually bill compliantly.
Let's look at a quick remediation case study to make this concrete. Imagine you have a missing present on admission, or POA flag, for acute kidney failure, which is an MCC. Because that one little flag was missing, the entire DRG assignment was threatened. But by catching this early and utilizing a compliant CDI query to the clinician to just confirm if it was present on admission, the team protected the revenue and ensured accurate reporting.
Now, a quick note on querying, because compliance is literally everything here. You have to use a non-leading query. Asking something like, "Doctor, please clarify if the documented respiratory failure is acute, chronic, or both," is the gold standard. It resolves the ambiguity needed for accurate coding without improperly leading the physician. You present the clinical facts, and you let their expert clarification guide the code.
Defending your claims also requires rigorous annual maintenance. As we know, every October 1st, CMS updates the ICD-10 code sets. You must immediately purge any deleted or invalid codes from your EHR templates and your HIM encoder systems. If you don't do this, I guarantee you're going to see a massive spike in 99.8 and 99.9 errors on October 2nd.
All right, wrapping things up with Section 5, let's summarize and give you a quick teaser for next time.
So the ultimate question for your coding and CDI teams really boils down to this. How do we completely bulletproof our claims against these catastrophic MS-DRG 998 and 999 assignments?
Well, the answer lies in mastering the fundamentals. By strictly following sequencing rules like code first, ensuring perfect 7-character code structures in both CM and PCS, and deploying rapid, non-leading CDI queries, you neutralize these revenue threats instantly. Accurate, highly specific documentation is the absolute lifeblood of the IPDRG system.
Next time, in Part 133, we're going to tackle advanced revenue cycle and CDI integration, specifically focusing on case mix index optimization. It's going to be a great one. But before we go, I want you to ask yourself, is your facility's current scrubbing system actually catching these missing 7th characters before they become a zero-weight nightmare? Think about it. If you're enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. Keep mastering those codes, and I'll see you in the next explainer.